Sheila's laughter echoed across the cozy cafe, turning heads from nearby tables. Her best friend, Mia, sat across from her, her face a mixture of amusement and discomfort. Sheila had always been the louder, more opinionated of the two, but today her words carried an edge that cut deeper than usual. "You've got to be kidding me, Mia," Sheila said, tossing her glossy curls over her shoulder. "You're dating a guy who works at a repair shop. I mean, how do you even go out? Split bills at the food court?" Mia's cheeks flushed, and she took a sip of her coffee to mask the sting of Sheila's words. The truth was, she knew Matt wasn't the kind of guy Sheila or her crowd would understand. He didn't wear designer clothes or drive a flashy car, but he had a heart as solid as the engines he fixed. "Sheila, not everyone has to be a CEO or a trust fund baby," Mia said, trying to keep her voice steady. "Matt might not have money, but he's kind, hardworking, and he makes me happy." Sheila smirked, leaning back in her chair. "Happiness doesn't pay the bills, Mia. You deserve someone who can take care of you, someone who can offer you the life you deserve. Not, whatever this is." Mia swallowed the lump in her throat. She wanted to tell Sheila about the nights Matt stayed up helping his neighbors fix their cars for free or the way he lit up when he talked about building a future together. But would Sheila even listen? "Maybe money matters to you, Sheila," Mia said softly. "But love isn't about the size of someone's wallet. It's about the size of their heart." Sheila chuckled, shaking her head. "Well, I guess we'll see how far love gets you when you're stuck taking the bus to your own wedding. Anyway, I'm just being honest because I care about you, Mia. You deserve better." Mia forced a small smile, though her chest felt heavy. Sheila's words lingered as they finished their coffee in awkward silence. Mia knew Sheila meant well in her own way, but it was clear they saw the world through very different lenses. As they left the cafe and went their separate ways, Mia couldn't shake the thought, did Sheila have a point? Or was she too blinded by love to see the truth? Stay tuned to find out how Mia navigates this emotional journey, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Storytelling and Beyond for more heartfelt stories that inspire and connect us all. Mia sat on the edge of Matt's small yet cozy couch, her hands nervously fidgeting with the frayed edge of a pillow. The aroma of fresh coffee filled the room, but she barely noticed. Matt, seated beside her, was animatedly explaining his latest project, a restored vintage car he was helping a retired neighbor fix. His face lit up with every word, his passion evident in every detail he shared. "And once we replace the carburetor, it'll purr like it's brand new," Matt said, his eyes sparkling. "Mr. Harris has had that car since the 60s. You should have seen his face when I told him we could save it." Mia smiled weakly. Normally, she would have been drawn in by Matt's enthusiasm, but Sheila's words from earlier hung over her like a dark cloud. "Matt," she interrupted softly, her voice hesitant, "can we talk?" His smile faltered, replaced by a look of concern. "Of course. What's wrong?" Mia hesitated, staring at the coffee table where a small bouquet of wildflowers he'd picked for her rested in a mason jar. "It's about us. About the future." Matt leaned forward, his elbows resting on his knees. "Mia, if something's bothering you, just say it. I want to know." She sighed, feeling the weight of the words she was about to say. "Sheila thinks I'm settling by being with you. She thinks I deserve someone better. Someone who can give me more." For a moment, Matt didn't respond. His expression didn't harden or grow defensive. Instead, he nodded slowly, as if carefully processing her words. "Is that how you feel?" he asked gently. Mia's throat tightened. "I don't know," she admitted. "I know I care about you, Matt. But I also can't ignore what she said. What if she's right? What if love isn't enough?" Matt sat back, his gaze thoughtful. "Mia," he began after a pause, "I've never pretended to be anything more than who I am. I don't have a fancy title or a big paycheck. But what I do have, I give wholeheartedly to you, to the people I care about, to the things I believe in." Tears welled up in Mia's eyes, and she looked away. She hated how conflicted she felt, torn between the simplicity of what they had and the doubts Sheila had sown in her mind. I don't care about money, Matt continued, his voice steady and sincere. But I do care about you. If you're questioning us because of what someone else thinks, then maybe I haven't done a good enough job showing you what you mean to me. Mia looked at him, her heart aching at the vulnerability in his words. Matt wasn't fighting to prove himself, he was offering her the truth of who he was, flaws and all. I don't want you to settle, Mia, he said. But I also need to know, do you believe in what we have? Or are you looking for something else? The question hung in the air, heavy with unspoken emotions. Mia knew she had to answer, not just for Matt, but for herself. As she searched for the right words, she realized that what she said next could change everything. A few days later, Mia found herself at a quiet park, sitting on a weathered wooden bench. The early evening sky was painted with hues of orange and pink, but she barely noticed its beauty. Her thoughts were consumed with the decision she couldn't seem to make. Sheila's words still echoed in her mind, but so did Matt's. Each argument tugged her in a different direction, and the weight of it all felt unbearable. She closed her eyes and leaned back, letting the gentle breeze brush against her face. Hey, you look like you could use some company. Mia opened her eyes to see an elderly woman smiling warmly at her, holding a small bag of breadcrumbs. The woman gestured to the bench, and Mia nodded, scooting over to make space. Sometimes a quiet park is the best place to sort out a noisy mind, the woman said, scattering breadcrumbs for a group of eager pigeons. You look like you've got a lot on yours. Mia hesitated but then found herself saying, it's about my boyfriend. People think he's not good enough for me because he doesn't have money or a big career. The woman chuckled softly, her wrinkled face kind. Ah, I've heard that story before. Let me guess, he makes you happy, but you're wondering if happiness is enough? Mia blinked in surprise. Yes. How did you know? Because I lived it, the woman said, her voice tinged with nostalgia. When I was your age, I fell in love with a man who had nothing but a big heart and a dream. My family said I was crazy, that I was throwing my life away. But you know what? We built a life together. It wasn't always easy, but it was full of love, laughter, and memories I wouldn't trade for all the money in the world. Mia's eyes softened as she listened, the woman's words stirring something deep within her. But what if love isn't enough? What if I regret it later? The woman smiled gently. Regret doesn't come from choosing love. It comes from letting fear decide for you. Money can buy comfort, sure, but it can't hold your hand when you're scared, or make you laugh when you feel like crying. Only love can do that. Mia felt a lump in her throat as tears pricked her eyes. She thought of Matt, his kind smile, his unwavering support, and the way he always made her feel like she was the most important person in the world. The woman patted her hand. The question isn't whether love is enough. The question is whether you believe in the kind of life you and your boyfriend can build together. That's where the answer lies. Mia sat in silence as the woman stood to leave, her bag of breadcrumbs now empty. Before walking away, the woman turned back and said, "Trust your heart, dear. It knows the way, even when your mind doesn't." As Mia watched her walk away, a sense of clarity began to settle over her. For the first time in days, she felt the weight on her chest begin to lift. It wasn't about what Sheila thought, or even about what Matt could offer. It was about what she wanted, what truly mattered to her. And deep down, she already knew the answer. The next evening, Mia stood outside Matt's modest apartment, her heart pounding in her chest. She clutched the small bouquet of wildflowers she had picked herself, daisies, lavender, and a single sunflower in the center. She took a deep breath and knocked on the door. Matt opened it moments later, his eyes widening slightly when he saw her. "Mia," he said softly, stepping aside to let her in. "I wasn't sure if I'd see you tonight." She stepped inside, the familiar warmth of his home wrapping around her. The room smelled faintly of motor oil and coffee, a blend that felt oddly comforting. She handed him the bouquet, her hands trembling slightly. "For you," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Matt accepted the flowers with a small smile, his eyes searching hers. "Thanks. They're beautiful." He set them carefully in the mason jar on the coffee table, the same one that had held the flowers he'd given her last time. Mia sat on the couch, her gaze dropping to her lap. "I've been doing a lot of thinking, Matt. About us. About everything." He sat beside her, his posture cautious but attentive. "And?" She turned to face him, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "Sheila isn't wrong about one thing, I do deserve the best. But what she doesn't understand is that I already have it. You may not be rich or drive a fancy car, but you've given me something money can't buy." Matt's brow furrowed slightly, his expression a mix of hope and uncertainty. "You've given me love," Mia continued, her voice breaking. "Not just in words, but in everything you do. The way you care for others, the way you make me feel safe and valued, the way you believe in us even when I have doubts. That's worth more than any paycheck or status symbol." Matt reached for her hand, his touch gentle but firm. "Mia, I don't ever want you to feel like you're settling by being with me. I want to give you the world, even if it's piece by piece. But only if that's what you truly want." She nodded, tears spilling over as she squeezed his hand. "It is, Matt. I don't care what anyone else thinks. What we have, it's real, and it's enough for me." Matt's smile grew, the relief in his eyes evident. He pulled her into a tight embrace, his chin resting on the top of her head. "You don't know how much that means to me," he whispered. As they held each other, the doubts and fears that had plagued Mia seemed to fade away, replaced by a sense of peace she hadn't felt in days. She knew the road ahead wouldn't always be easy, but she also knew they would face it together. And in that moment, she realized that the best things in life weren't measured by wealth or possessions. They were found in moments like this, when love and gratitude filled the spaces money never could. Thank you for staying with us for this heartfelt journey. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Storytelling and Beyond for more stories that touch your heart and inspire your soul. See you in the next story.